All right, what's up YouTube? So today we have a special video for you guys. We're going to be installing this DTOZ or DTOZ, I don't know how to actually say it, but drive to the Z range, I guess. We're going to install this oil cooler kit on this Genesis Coupe 3.8 that we have right here. Before we get into the kit itself, let's go ahead and pretty much pre-start taking off everything that we need to take off before installing the kit. So first thing you want to do is jack up the car, guys. Once you have it jacked up, you're gonna come right under the car. Pretty much you're gonna drain the oil. So this is gonna be a 27 millimeter for this oil filter housing right here, to take out the oil filter housing. And then back here, it's going to be a 17 millimeter bolt. I've also seen a 19 millimeter bolt, so just keep in mind it might be either or. Once you drain the oil, we can go back to the top part of the car and we're gonna start taking off the front bumper. All right guys, so to take off the front bumper, we have a few things to take off. So we have a 8 millimeter right here. It's gonna be on the other side as well. And then we also have these screws right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 that have to come off. And then you would have some right here as well. So once you get these off, you would go under the car again. And while you're down here, you'll need to take off these splash shield screws. So you'll need this one, and then there'll be one on the other side. Same thing on this side over here. Got one right here and right there. Once you got those taken off, this front bumper is pretty much ready to take off. So you have the bumper off, we're gonna come over here and we're actually gonna take off this headlight now. The headlight's held in by two 10 millimeter bolts, one right here, one right here. Once you have them off, you can go ahead and pop this out and then disconnect the harness in the back for it. All right, once we have the headlight off, we're gonna actually go back down underneath the car one more time, and we're actually gonna take off that filter housing right here. This is the OEM filter housing. It's held in by four 12 millimeter bolts, I believe. Okay, so here's a better view of it. So again, what we're gonna be removing is this OEM oil filter housing right here. It's held in by four 12 millimeter bolts right there. The easiest way I found to get them is using a 3/8 ratchet with a 12 millimeter deep socket, preferably a flex set as well. That way you can get into the tighter spots. But this is where I'm going to hit it at from the bottom right here. I'm going to take these bolts off real quick and then I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. All right guys, so as you can see here, the oil filter housing is removed, and this is what it looks where it used to sit at before. So now that we have pretty much everything removed, we're going to go ahead and go look at that oil cooler kit. This is pretty much everything that comes in the kit. So we have the oil cooler itself. I think it's a 19 row. You have your AN fittings right here, OEM oil filter housing, the sandwich plate, your adapter for the sandwich plate, and then the brackets right here to hold up the oil cooler, hardware for the brackets, and then hardware for the actual oil sandwich plate and the adapter piece right here. So the first thing we're gonna be doing is pretty much getting our Teflon tape out, these guys and these fittings right here. We're gonna get these fittings out and we're gonna Teflon tape all the fittings. We need to Teflon tape them, that way no leaks will occur. So it's very important to do that step. Also, I did notice that this kit doesn't come with the OEM oil filter housing gaskets. So just a note, you might need to buy them prior to buying this kit, because this kit again doesn't have them. Or you can reuse your old ones, it doesn't matter, whatever you feel more comfortable with. So just a note for you guys on that. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is pretty much get our Teflon tape, and we're gonna be taping up these threads right here on the top part. These thread into the actual oil filter housing like so, and then you're gonna want to use an open end wrench to tie in these down, okay? But make sure you get a good amount of Teflon on here, that way no leaks occur. All right, so we got these on now. So what we're gonna be doing now is pretty much plugging these side ones in, just these two right here on the side, and we're gonna be using these Allen key ones, okay? The size you're gonna need to tie them down is gonna be a size 5, I believe, for the Allen key. And we're also gonna be Teflon taping these up as well. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we'll go on to our next step. All right, and this is what it's going to look like once it is covered up like that. So in case you guys didn't know what these little side pockets are, these little side screws are, in the future, if you get an oil pressure or oil temperature gauge, you can actually take these out and put your sensor in here. That's what it's designed for. So you can put your oil temperature or oil pressure sensor in those spots so you can monitor those values. But yeah, in case you guys didn't know, that's what those spots are for. So what we're gonna do now is pretty much we're gonna get this guy right here. You don't have to use Teflon tape for this one because this is internal. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this guy and we're pretty much gonna screw him into this piece right here, and then that's gonna allow this piece to slide over that the sandwich plate, and it's gonna allow you to put this piece on. So the size you're gonna be using is a 25mm to tighten this down, a deep socket, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on real quick and then we'll go to our next step. So now that we have that piece on, we can go ahead and put on this piece right here. So that's pretty much gonna slide on just like so. And we're gonna get this bottom part right here and it's gonna slide right in. And this is what that's going to look like as a finished product. The size I used for this one was a 24mm socket, deep socket, to tighten this down. So what we're doing now is we grabbed off the gaskets from the old oil filter housing and we're gonna pretty much insert them in here, just like so. Make sure you get a little bit of oil around the sealing rings right here. So we have the sandwich plate and adapter plate together, ready to install. What we're gonna be doing next is messing with the actual oil cooler. What you're gonna wanna grab is your cooler, your brackets, which is one right here, and then this guy, and then you're gonna grab your bracket hardware. So in the front of the car, the first thing we're gonna have to do is pretty much take this 10mm bolt out so we can move this horn out of the way for the meantime. So we'll put this to the side. The next thing you're gonna wanna do, you're gonna wanna go ahead and remove this. Also remove the impact sensor right here. Before you move the impact sensor, make sure you disconnect the battery. That way it doesn't go off. Take off that impact sensor. Also, it's held in by a 10mm bolt that's right here. So what we're gonna do pretty much next is put the mounts on and then mount this in place. So using the provided hardware, this is how we're gonna put the bracket on, like so. You're gonna have the silver pieces on top, and then the bottom part you have your nuts. These are both 10mm, and this is how you're gonna want your bracket on the top left corner to look like. All right, so we got our second bracket, and it's gonna be on the right side, and that's how it's gonna look over here. Again, you're gonna have the L bracket go up, cut over, you're gonna have a hole right there. Also, you're gonna need to pretty much get this harness that's behind the crash bar pretty much put over on this side, so that way you have more room to work with. So as you can see right here, using the provided hardware, this bolt's gonna go where your impact sensor used to be at. This is where this hole is gonna be at for this bracket, and then your impact sensor is just gonna be mounted to that guy right there. And then on this side, there is a 10mm bolt that's up here you need to take out, and then you're going to use that to bolt this guy in as well. So I'm going to finish that up real quick and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like installed. As you can see, one goes right here. This is how it's held on. Same thing on this side. You are going to have to move this horn down in order to put this horn that way, okay? And to adjust the bracket on the back side of the horn, it's held in by a 10mm. So loosen that 10mm and you can adjust this bracket. So that's how I have that set up. Also, if you guys have this piece right here, it's a hard plastic piece that's going along the harness. Make sure you cut this off, otherwise you're not going to be able to fit it within this area, because it sits right here and it's the only thing that was preventing me from mounting this cooler kit. Another note to say to you guys is the bolt that they are, not that they give us, but the bracket piece right here, the OEM bolts aren't long enough for this. So just make a mental note that if you're gonna do this, you're gonna need to get a slightly longer bolt. That way you can put this on like so. But for the meantime, I'm just gonna go ahead and zip tie it right here. And then eventually we'll go ahead and get a bolt long enough to put it right in there how it's supposed to be. Alright guys, so now that we have the oil cooler mounted, we're going to go ahead and use this provider hardware right here to go ahead and mount this guy up now. Alright guys, so this is what the oil cooler looks like installed from the top view. It was easier to tie in the bolts from up here actually, so I just went ahead and did it from up here. So now that those two things are mounted, we're going to get our AN lines now. So for the hoses guys, you're gonna have two different sizes. The longer one's gonna go on the right side, and then the shorter one's gonna go on the left side. What we're going to be doing first is pretty much feeding these from the top down to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick to show you guys what it looks like. Also, don't forget, when you take these guys off, make sure you put Teflon tape on these, okay? Before you put the lines on, make sure you put a little bit of oil in there. That way the system isn't going to run dry when cycling the engine on, okay? So we got some good 5W30 AMSOIL over here, and we're going to pour a little bit in here. Alright guys, and this is how the oil cooler kit looks like. Runs behind the headlight just like so. Travels behind it. Comes down right here, under the power steering lines, down to the bottom just like that. You guys will notice that I did have to angle the oil filter housing to point out this way. These fittings aren't straight. If they were straight, they would fit on the correct way, which is the way I had it before. But because they're 90 degrees, you have to turn the oil filter housing just like that in order for it to fit, unfortunately. But not too bad. Just to, back out the screw and turn the housing. Not too hard at all. As you can see also, I did have to remove the intake. That way I can go ahead and work this area as well. That's pretty much it on installing the oil cooler housing from DTOZ. Pretty simple, easy install, not hard at all. Looks really clean. Pretty much just gonna throw in the oil filter housing at this point, or the oil filter at this point, and start the car, check for leaks, and we are done with the install. But anyways guys, I really hope you guys liked the video. Please leave comments down below if you have any questions. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel please, and I will have more Genesis Coupe content coming out soon for you guys. Peace out.